Hello, everybody. Happy election day. It is November
Woohoo!
5th, 2024, and it is the presidential election day. Big day all across the
Big,
country.
yeah,
I am
big
Julie
day.
Barrett, and I'm here with Jim Grant, and we're gonna chat mostly about elections today. If you guys have specific topics or questions for us, go ahead and drop those in the chat or the comment section or reply to the tweet. We're live on Twitter and on YouTube. So how are you feeling, Jim, about what's going to happen today? What do you think we're going to know by tomorrow morning, 24 hours from today? What do you think we know?
A landslide. A landslide, and the fires should already be started in 7 to 10 major cities.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, I mean, the early turnout has been phenomenal. I look at the things like Scott Pressler's been doing up in Pennsylvania. I just
across
think
the country, the turnout's been amazing across the country.
You know, there's a lot of corruption stuff that keeps popping up, things that are happening and going on. But I was comforted, I guess, is for lack of a better word, by the watchers and the attorneys that we've got watching and keeping an eye on things that I've heard about, from the party. I'm comforted, and I think we're going to do it. I think it's that too big to fail, too big to rig. Too big to rig. There you go. Absolutely.
I hope you're right. I have an uneasiness about it because either way it goes, there's going to be unrest. And I don't just mean that from like an Antifa standpoint. Certainly there's going to be Antifa, but I think just with regular people like you and me and the people that are watching us, there's going to be this dis-ease for the next couple months, because regardless of who wins, I think the other side is going to it's not just gonna, no one's gonna just walk away from this on either side, because there's been so many questions. That's my concern. I mean, I hope that you're right. I hope it's too big to rig. I hope it's a 2016. There is no doubt in anyone's mind. I forget how many electoral votes Trump got in 2016. Was it over 300?
Seems like it may have been 305.
Yeah, it was something like it was something ridiculous that was like nobody anticipated it. I think everybody expected Hillary to win that. And when it came back with whatever the number was, I do believe you're right. It was like 305, something around there. It was just amazing. And you couldn't dispute it. I mean, those numbers are really indisputable. And I'm hoping that you're right. I hope that it's a landslide tonight and it doesn't really leave room for question.
It was 304 to 227.
Wow. Now,
so close.
That's at a presidential level. There's going to be a lot of races in states across the country, like my home state, my former home state of Washington, where it's ripe with election fraud. That there's going to be questions about, we talked about it last week, the ballot boxes that are being burned. In one county in Washington state, they found that hundreds of citizens didn't even receive their ballots because the post office didn't mail them.
Right. Yeah, it's people showing up to vote and they're being told they already voted. It's going on, but I think speaking of too big to rig, but Raskin's already said why is he coming out if they're so confident? He's coming out, Jamie Raskin, Maryland, complete clown coming out and saying, we're not going to certify it. We're not going to certify it. So they're worried. Clearly, they're worried.
If a Republican was saying that, everybody would be losing their minds. If a Republican congressperson said such a thing.
Right. Oh, there's such duplicity. It's not even funny. It's and I mean, who was it that I just recently, somebody was on talking about Republicans cheating. And I mean, they're out making all their accusations already, which is, we all know this historically. It's written down in their playbook, Rules for Radicals, and who was it, Stalin or whatever. But you project on them what you're doing, right? And yell about it as loud as you can. And they have the media behind them, so it's crazy. If it wasn't for the abortion issue, that this would be a 50-state sweep. It would be a clean sweep. I
think you're right. That's all they have to bank on to get the female vote,
which is a stupid even thing. I mean, if that's the reason you're voting, first of all, if that's your reason if you're that choice of a one choice voter, one issue voter, come on, man.
Right.
Come on. And the second thing is, it's not a viable issue because it was decided how many years ago? 4 years ago, that it's a state issue.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So I guess it was before the 22s, right? So 3 years ago.
It was, yeah. But I believe that if the Democrats were to get into power, if Kamala was elected president, I do believe that she has every intention of undoing what the courts did, or doing some sort of executive order or something that would reinstate Roe. I don't know the legalities of that, but
they couldn't enforce it anywhere. But I guess it just would remain to be seen if Republicans are willing to stand up for the rule of law or not in their state.
Right.
And
not even Republicans, but just common sense voters who don't necessarily have a political side, which, that was me in 2016. I just wanted things to be right for my kids and, be safe. And there's a lot of people, a lot of voters like that, that don't really identify with either party. But you're right. The abortion issue and the way that they brand it and package it up to sell it like this, women's rights are on the line with this election. And this could be the last chance that women have to vote. Did you see that video? I forget who sponsored it, but it's about, the woman, maybe we talked about this last week, and she goes into the voting booth and when she comes out, her husband is like, I hope you did the right thing, or, something like that. It's just totally degrading for women.
Right.
But they're painting this picture like women don't have rights. And this is, the last opportunity that we're going to have to make our voices heard. And it's really disgusting. And, says a lot about their view of women, which they can't define anyway. And
they're disgusting as a party, as a group of people, and that women are supporting it. That women and blacks don't see through the charade of how they're being used. Because what I was thinking the other day is beyond me. I see them just sitting up in their Crystal Palace on the hill. They're and laughing at how easily they can manipulate the masses into complete insanity.
Right. It's astonishing, really, to see how many people, and, people that I would consider to be pretty intelligent people, have really been brainwashed by the media. In fact, I was actually reading a Facebook post by someone that I've been friends with for over 20 years, and we don't see politically eye to eye, which is fine. But I thought it was. I'm going to read part of her post, and of course, I'm not going to say her name. And it's a pretty long. What's that?
Come on, say the name. Say the
name. She wrote, I vote, part of this is just a segment of it. I vote because I had a complicated, life-threatening miscarriage. Strict abortion laws in some states could have made it illegal for my doctors to medically complete my miscarriage. I would have died. I vote for candidates who support doctors' ability to care for their patient in the absolute worst of times. There is not a single state in this country that doesn't allow for doctors to take care of a woman who is suffering from a miscarriage, whether that is a missed miscarriage where your baby just dies in your womb and there's no other signs. That is what happened to me. If you have an ectopic pregnancy or a molar pregnancy, there are no laws that prevent doctors from caring for those patients. Anywhere, nowhere. And
it's just an abject lie.
And one of the things that they're, and so it bothers me to see people who have, instead of doing their research and finding the facts about the laws, they just spread the lies that they hear from, whether it's their friends or the organizations that they follow or the mainstream media or whatever it is. It just is astonishing to me how many people are not willing to go and dig and find the truth.
Did you challenge it?
I haven't yet.
Right.
Sometimes I don't know, in situations like that. Here's another segment of it. This is a very long post about reasons for why she votes. And she said that she sent this message. She emailed this message to several friends, encouraging them to vote. So here's another section. I vote because I've cried sending my children to school some mornings after learning about threats of violence. I've wondered if this will be the last time I see them alive.
Oh my
I
gosh.
might as well try to rush the guy. If he's going to kill me anyway, I might as well try to save others, reasoned one of her children. I vote for candidates who support restrictions on machines of war that should never be in the hands of average citizens.
Man, what drama. Thank you, Annie. What drama? I mean, what just abject lying drama.
And
machines of war.
I don't think she's trying to spread drama. I think she has bought the lies that she has been sold. Like an obedient little sheep, she has bought the lies. She's repeating the lies. But again, this person is smart. This is someone with a college degree, who had a very, good career as an executive prior to having her children many years ago. So it's not like she's incapable of critical thinking, but she's bought the lies and she hasn't bothered to, I don't know. Sometimes I think people don't want the truth. They like the lie. Somehow the lie rewards them in some way. It's like, Dr. Phil always says, how's that working for you? Or what's the pay? There's a payoff,
yeah. How's
right?
That working out
there's some kind of payoff for you. What's the payoff?
If you get into some of the psychological, it's the satisfaction of the ego. People cannot let go of that little jolt of dopamine from stating their opinion, having a strong opinion. If you read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, people will not. You'll never win an argument. You never win. Even if you win, you lose.
Right.
Because they walk away wounded.
Right.
And I heard this morning somebody made a good point about people, who were set on the right to choose, that they probably that they may have experienced an abortion, and there's no way they're going to flip their. I mean, if they won't change their mind just on the basis of argument, right, and being right and ego, if
Right.
they've experienced it, there's not a chance they're going to change their mind and say, yeah, I murdered my baby, and I'm against that now. People, I'm not saying people don't. Many women have. They've realized, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And they've seen the light, but many people won't. And you know what else? I'm kind of shotgun approach, but you know what else? Nobody ever talks about the psychological trauma. I've seen it firsthand.
Right.
I've seen it firsthand in my first marriage. I was weak and didn't do the right thing. Didn't leave her, or just didn't say, if you do it, I'm gone. I let it happen from as much as I could be in control of letting it happen or not. And it was a psychological nightmare ever since. Because this was a Christian woman who did it and then felt like, and then listen, we lost the next baby to SIDS at 2 months old.
Oh my goodness.
So if you
That
think
had
she
to be
was
very hard on her psychologically in many ways.
She felt like that God said, see what happens? Which I don't believe that's what happened. But the psychological trauma of an, I mean, it's why the I can never remember the name of it, the ultrasound program for saving babies, where they give free ultrasounds, because once women see an ultrasound,
I know the one that Glenn Beck is part of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I forget what it's called.
I mean, listen. I want to give you a scenario. I'll give you the other side of the coin. From this scenario, a friend's mother-in-law. He's conservative. She's liberal. She's pro-choice. Pretty much a one-issue voter. He would say if you talk to him about anything, they're conservative, but it's an LGBT abortion issue person. Hate Trump, that trifecta. Abortion, LGBTQ plus A, Trump, that trifecta of issues. But he said, if abortion was legal, if abortion could be legal, but you had to live in we had to become a communist state. Would you choose that? Would you choose abortion's legal, but live in a communist state? And the answer was yes, I would choose that.
Wow. You know what that tells me is that they don't actually have an understanding of what it is like to live in a communist state.
Oh, but educated. This is educated. Smart. I know them. Love her. I mean, this really changed my. I don't want to say it because it could be used against me, but it hurt my opinion, at least momentarily. I'm like, but I think it probably exists on the other side, that there are people who, if abortion could be, do you think it would exist on the other side, that if abortion was banned, but you had to live in a communist state, that there are people that would choose that?
Oh, of course not. Of
course not?
No.
I hope you're right. I think people are that emotional about it, but there's a guy in my GOP committee who, when we went to 6 weeks, I'm done fighting for more. I'll do my work. I don't believe the government solves anything ever. I don't think they do anything better than we can do privately. But when we went to 6 weeks, Michelle Saltzman's my state representative, and I said, man, awesome job. I'm ready to, I don't want to fight about this anymore now. And as far as policy, and it's not something I'm looking for more of. We need to do it at home and in the church and in school and amongst our friends and parenting and the nuclear family. And it needs to be done. privately,
100%.
but
Yep.
she said this, she came in this late last spring and gave a recap of the legislative session. And she said, and we got abortion down to 6 weeks, and immediately.
Oh,
Aaron I'll say his name because I want to punch him every meeting. Aaron Shire. When are you going to ban it? When are you going to ban abortion? I mean, immediately. When are you going to ban abortion? Immediately. I'm like, so.
now I am for, abolishing abortion. That would be amazing. But like you, I say this isn't a government issue. I mean, I think where it is now is great. I think we have one of the best abortion laws in the country. And so now it's time for the church to step up and for families to step up and work at it from that angle. For other like you don't see, like, look at the work Planned Parenthood does. We don't have an organization on the anti-abortion, pro-life side that's doing that level of work to talk to, young people about the sanctity of life and why it's important and how to make better choices. And, I think that's more like you're on the right track. That's the answer to get to where we want to go on these cultural issues. I want, as I was saying that, it reminded me of a post I saw. I don't even know who the guy is and I forget the name, but it's going viral on X about it's this guy probably, mid 40s, 50-ish years old. And, I'm voting for my daughters so my daughters will have, the right to reproductive freedom. And I just think, number one, so you're voting for your daughters to kill your grandchildren. Why are fathers not talking to their daughters about having respect for themselves and not engaging in one-night stands or meaningless sex? Why are those conversations not happening with fathers and daughters?
Right. Yeah. Why aren't they? This is my greatest example. I see if I could do this. I may have done this last week. I think I did, but I'm going to do it again anyway. What he's saying is, this is my last year. So that's George. And that's Landon. They're 2 months and 10 months old. And he's saying he's willing to give that up, maybe? He's willing to, because that's what if you do that, it doesn't matter when you do it. That's what you're killing.
Right.
Those two bundles of absolute abject joy. Right? And I don't even, it's beyond me. It's beyond me when you have children, how you can say,
we don't value life. Our culture doesn't value life. Our culture does not value families. Our culture doesn't value, leadership of good men. And I mean, we're seeing that. I think, we've been seeing it for a long time. I just think it's much bigger and blatant now in this season. And it's like, you can't miss it anymore. You can't pretend it's not happening.
I don't know, is it my age or whatever, but I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks. I told my son there will be a divide. We're all getting together at Christmas in Maryland for Christmas. So with the babies, my brothers and sisters, his in-laws, and I'm like, listen, dude. I go, I will never bring anything up. I won't start anything, but I'm not gonna take it. If somebody wants to start conversations at Christmas, I'm not just gonna take it and let them do it. Because I just, it's just mind-boggling to me what we've come and the way we've let people lie, and like how today's election day, people, I don't care which side you're for. The reason that Democrats allow it is because they know what they're doing. Allow the count to go on for days and days and weeks. They allow it because they know it's the only chance they have to get the outcome they want for their agenda.
And what I don't understand is in some places, I know this was kind of happening a little bit with Georgia. I haven't followed Georgia too closely, but I think I saw Brian Kemp came out and said, it's going to take us a while to count the votes or something like that. But take Washington State. Let's go back to Washington State for a second. You have the guy who is running for Secretary of State on the Republican side. His name is Dale Whitaker. And he's an amazing candidate. I've met him personally. I've done a, live stream interview with him. He's an immigrant. He and his wife, I believe it's from the UK. And he's got just some really good ideas for really digging into some of the issues that Washington is facing with elections. That it's nonpartisan, right? Like the problems that are happening, burning ballot boxes, ballots not being mailed, doesn't matter, who you're going to vote for. Those are voters that are not being well served. And it's been amazing to me that there are some Republican groups and organizations in the state that they won't even put this guy on their voting recommendations. Conservative media, they won't have this guy on their, one conservative podcaster in Washington had on the current Secretary of State who's running for re-election yesterday and hasn't had on the Republican candidate. And she calls herself a moderate, but does a lot of work with the Washington GOP. Didn't have Dale on. And it's like, how do you fix things if the Republicans aren't even willing to talk about it? And they call you an extremist or an election denier if you want to talk about the issues that are going on around the country with our elections.
Right. Well, it's in our own. There's a guy running for one of our commissioner seats in Escambia County in the party who gets vehement about election fraud talk.
Oh, he doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear it. He thinks it's whatever. And I'm like, I haven't gotten into it with him, but listen, like I said, I would. I wouldn't back down. Let's put it this way: if I got the chance to confront him during a meeting,
of course you wouldn't. It's funny though because the solution's so easy. It's in person with ID, with a signature on paper, and it's hand counted.
Like everybody else in the world does.
Yes, it's not that hard.
Except for Australia and New Zealand, those two piles of shit countries.
Right. Like who wants to live there anyway? Yeah, it's just.
Listen,
they don't want to fix it. That's the bottom line. They don't want to fix it.
I want to digress for a second back to Brian Kemp because, when he said that, I'm like, really, dude, you're the pile that I always thought you were since 2020. You son of a gun, and be nice.
Son of a biscuit.
Yeah. But do you know that in 2020, because there was a lot of Dominion talk about Georgia and Kemp, right? And a lot of Dominion talk. And one of the Senate races was Kelly Loeffler and Raphael Warnock. And all this accusations and this going after Kemp to do something about it and whatever. But his daughter's boyfriend was a staffer for Kelly Loeffler. And when this all started, all this pressure on Trump or on Kemp started, the boyfriend was killed in a fireball.
I remember that.
A fireball of a car explosion.
Yes, I remember that.
Coincidence. Coincidence.
Is that like you got
Everybody
suicide?
dismissed it. Everybody dismissed it, but I'm like, really? Just the connection to both the candidates. It's like, yeah, go ahead and say something. We know who you're all about your family, and here's a little tidbit for you. That's what people I think are afraid of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a brutal one. But I think we're just going to overwhelm them.
I hope so. I mean, that's what needs to happen if, otherwise it's going to be just such a mess because every state has their own, own system. We've got these Dominion machines and, there's just such an array of issues going on around the country that could potentially be problematic. So yeah, I'm with you. Too big to rig.
I mentioned that Raskin said they wouldn't certify it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you know that isn't that astoundingly hilarious that they're already saying they won't certify it, which means we're going to do what we're trying to put Trump in jail for trying to do.
Right.
We're
And what
do.
is astounding is they say it. They're not bashful about it. They say it right out there in the open. And yet nobody says anything to them. Nobody questions them. The mainstream media doesn't bat an eye. But then they'll say it about Trump and it's like the sky is falling.
What did you say a minute ago? But weren't you talking about the Democratic Party? And you said, isn't there anybody that would stand up or?
Oh, I'm talking about Republicans. No,
yeah, okay,
Republicans.
Yeah, oh, that's right. It was Republicans, right? And so when you said that, that made me think of. I mean, look at the Lincoln Project. Look at Mitt Romney. They're flat out slamming the candidate.
Yep.
They much rather that's that whole uniparty crap.
Right.
Now,
can we shift gears just a little bit? I want to talk about
your
by
show.
The way, do you like my shirt, my America Proud? And it says
yes
at the bottom.
I can't see the unapologetic, but the what's great about it is your head, the flag in the background frames your face, and the shirt's got the flag going the other way.
I didn't even plan that.
It's a perfect setup.
New camera, everybody, and I didn't plan this, but it's working. So I got this.
The back of my hat?
Toxic. What's the small print say?
Probably
toxic masculinity.
50-25.
Oh yeah.
The other thing that I do.
The other thing, yes, I like it.
50 going on 25.
This, not this past weekend, but the previous weekend at the Palmetto Gun Show here in Southwest Florida. There's a guy, so you guys can go to this website, freeflorida.com. This is a guy in Naples, Florida, who was just getting so tired of, just everything that's been going on in our country. He designed a t-shirt. It's a really cool, I have the original design too. But it's Free Florida. It's the Florida flag, and the state of Florida design, and it says where the Constitution still lives. It's a really cool design. Men's and women's. It's freeflorida.com. And then this was his new design that he had at the show last week. So just a little plug there for Bill at freeflorida.com.
Nice. Palmetto Armory Gun Show? The company Palmetto Armor, or is that your county down there? Or
well, no, I'm in Sarasota County. Palmetto is Manatee County. So there's a town.
Palmetto's a city?
Palmetto.
Okay,
yes.
Got it.
Yeah, cool. We're now on the list to get text messages whenever there's a lot of gun shows in Florida. So whenever we get the text, my husband wants to go, and so I get dragged along with him.
I like him. Yeah, poor thing. You poor thing.
I know.
Yeah.
So mistreated.
You've already voted, right?
I have. Have you?
Yeah, I'm going. No, I'm going to vote. I'm meeting my friend probably around 4 or 5 to go out to the beach and vote.
Okay.
Where my precinct is.
Well, make
It
sure
won't be
you get
busy. I will get it in.
see if you get some of the counties had the sticker was designed by school kids in the county. There was like a contest. So see if you have a cool sticker. Like
I will.
I don't know if
I
it was
will
just
look.
Sarasota and Manatee counties, but check and see and let me know. If you get a cool sticker, send me a picture.
I definitely will. I definitely will. You voted no on 3, I assume?
Voted no on 3, voted no on 4, and I voted yes on 1, 2, 5, and 6.
Yeah. That's what I believe that I am doing as well.
So I
Yes,
woke
yes,
up
no, no,
at
yes, yes.
yep. I woke up at about 2 o'clock this morning, and I was just really uneasy. I couldn't figure out what I was uneasy about, and then I realized, oh, it's election day, and I'm like, but I live in Florida, and so I know like pretty much how things are going to go. But then I started thinking about Amendment 4, and I was really uneasy about Amendment 4 and thinking, what if this passes? And so I just was like, you know what? The best thing you can do, the only thing you can do is just pray about it. So I kept waking up over and over with the same thing on my heart. And so I was just praying my way through the night. And I think
Excellent.
it's hard
I,
to one of the hardest things for me is to pray God's will be done, because I want my will to be done. I want to give God my wish and ask him to grant it, but his will is
sometimes I want
always
your will done too. Julie's will.
so
Well,
I am praying hard for 3 and 4, because if those two pass, we would very much be like Washington State, like where I came from.
yeah, I don't know about the weed thing. There's a lot of people that's kind of what part of my problem, because even Kamala Harris is doing ads that she and Trump are both voting, or both for marijuana,
Right.
and it's just,
Didn't,
I mean,
didn't I
I
see
can't
something
believe,
yesterday about she's going to legalize marijuana if she's elected on a federal level?
maybe it would be better in my, I may need to think through it more or have some input or whatever, but I almost would rather it was
I thought I saw that
legalized
somewhere.
across the board than just in individual states. Did you lose me?
I like the medical.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
I have some sort of weird lag going on, and I don't know if I went over to a different tab, and I don't know if that screwed up my StreamYard,
Maybe
but
that was what it was.
I was trying to find where she said that, but I like here where people can get the medical marijuana card.
Yeah, just about
Right. And
anybody
from
that
what
wants.
I've learned, it's easy to get it.
Yeah, just about anybody that wants weed can go get a card and get it. And if people want it medicinally,
And there's dispensaries all over.
yeah. And you know what? And on the other hand, of the yes for 3, I had a friend whose son was just out in Vegas, and he goes, "That's all you could smell. That's all you could smell everywhere you went. Weed, 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 weed." I don't care what it is. I mean, if you're vaping it and the pens and stuff, so be it. I don't care. I don't care. I care because I know what it did to Colorado.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to have hurt Montana and Ohio, but I don't know. So I'm a no. I'm just a no.
Yeah, it was. Am I still lagging?
Seems like something, but right just then you were not.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's working itself out. But
I think we're good right now.
okay. In Washington, the same issue. You have more weed stores than Starbucks stores that are everywhere you go. It smells like weed. Even just driving along, I can't tell you how many times I would have a teenager in the car and I'm driving them to work or whatever they had after school, and all of a sudden I'd get this huge whiff of weed, And I'd look over at my kid and I'd be like, you got something?
Yeah.
Are you smoking
Yeah.
weed?
I took my turn at it, a while back, a long time ago, long time ago. But, I don't know. If you want it, go get a card and get it. And the whole thing about this whole amendment is, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Gates are involved in it, but this is a corporate, this is nothing more than a corporate move.
Yep.
This is corporate greed and money.
Yep.
Disguised
and the way
as,
it's written doesn't allow people to grow their own, so for people, and you would get, I forget what is it, a misdemeanor, or I don't know what it would be, but you would, go to jail if you're found growing your own, right? So you can only buy it from this certain manufacturer, this certain, company.
If it was, I would think more about it if it was, this eliminates people going to jail. I don't want anybody going to jail for small amounts of weed. If you got a truckload, okay. But small amounts, I don't want anybody going to jail for that. Fines, or a weekend or whatever type of thing, but prison, no.
Right.
But if the law was more along, you can grow your own at home, small amounts, but that's going to get abused, so but then again, I kind of have a more libertarian view on things than I do, like I'm more of an isolationist, I don't want to get involved all over the world.
Right.
Ron Paul said, I think a great speech by Ron Paul 30, 50 years ago. Criminy. That long? No, couldn't have been. But it was like, what if all this hate and terrorism and everything is caused by our meddling, in the world's affairs? And there's something to be said for that, and I said to my son, we had this conversation yesterday or Thursday or yesterday, I guess it was. And I'm like, well, what about Saddam Hussein and his sons raping and killing women and children and piling them in mass graves for decades? And he's like, let them figure it out and handle it.
Yeah.
So, I got a friend who's like, yeah, I want meth to be legal. They can kill themselves and we can get rid of them. It's pretty hardcore, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I predict that Amendment 3, the weed amendment, will pass. Amendment 4, I'm going to go with no, just because I think it will fall short. I don't think it's going to fall a lot short. I'd say maybe 58%, and they need 60.
It's crazy. Need 60. Well, yeah, there's a lot of Republicans that are pro-choice.
Yeah. I think Trump being in support of Amendment 3 has been hurtful. I think if he came out against it, that definitely would have helped. But yeah, that's my prediction. 3 will pass and 4 will come up just a little bit short. I remembered what I was going to segue to when I got distracted by my cool shirt. House and Senate in DC, Congress. What is your prediction there? I haven't been following those races too close to see which seats might flip. I did a little bit of looking over the weekend to see what I could dig into to see if there's an opportunity. Are we going to hold the House? Are we going to flip the Senate? Have you tracked any of that? Do you have thoughts on that?
I haven't tracked very much. I was going to ask you a more specific question about it, though, because I'm very curious. I can't believe it's probably as close as they're saying it is. But the Cruz Allred race in Texas concerns me.
Yeah, me too.
Colin Allred's
and I don't know if part of it's because I'm getting texts about Ted Cruz. I don't know about you, but I've been For
Oh
every
yeah.
Trump text, I also get a Cruz text, and it's like
Yep.
the sky is falling, you know. But in the polls that I found, all of them had Cruz pulling off a win, and it wasn't really that close.
Good. Good. What about
So
Carrie Lake?
she is predicted to lose by quite a bit.
I thought I saw something recently that she was deadlocked. And I don't understand, like, for instance, I'm, you know, it reminded me, 2022 in Arizona for the governor's race reminded me of 2020, the presidential race. I believe it was totally stolen from her by Maricopa County.
Oh, she ran for governor, right?
Right. Yeah. And I can't remember who the governor is now. Kelly.
No, but she was the Secretary of State before she was governor.
Right.
Remember that?
In charge of the election.
Elections.
Yeah, it's
that was super sketchy.
Astoundingly sketchy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over Carrie Lake because she just is up Trump's butt too much for me.
Yeah, there's something about her that just rubs me the wrong way. I can't really
put my finger on it. I loved her to start with.
I did too.
But you know, like Trump, she was a Democrat. She was a news anchor. You know, but I hope she wins. But
I think a lot of these people that are involved in politics, whether they're involved as candidates or just sort of influencer types, there's this weird dynamic of wanting popularity or fame. It's a weird dynamic that it just doesn't sit well with me. And not that they have bad intentions, but I don't know. I just feel like we have a shortage of really good people who are authentic and want to actually be servants of the citizens of their country rather than wanting personal gain, attention, fame, fortune, whatever it is. But you have people in Trump's circle that it's like, how did they get there? What are their qualifications to be influencing people? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just a weird dynamic. Oh, I mean, and I know people like Vivek Ramaswamy a lot. Like, and I'm just sitting here going, how did he get there? Like, where did he come from?
He wrote, before I knew of Vivek, before all this, because he wrote the book called Woke Inc., which was really coming out against corporate wokeism and you know, the DEI and all that stuff, and why they do the woke thing. So I was a fan of his before it all came out, you know. But you know, he was in the pharmaceutical industry, and then he was trying to be a part of the COVID when they were going to do when they were talking about doing what would you call it? The mandating it for everybody. The tracking, some tracking system.
Right.
I think he was coming out about being part of some tracking system, which I was like, what? You know, that bothers me. That means you weren't against COVID. You were trying to take advantage of it, which bothers me. But the things that he says and stands for all seem to be on point. The court that, you know, just like JFK Jr., but he has a lot of other progressive ideas. I want to know how when you have RFK Jr., I'm losing track all of a sudden. Elon Musk,
Tulsi Gabbard,
Vivek, Tulsi Gabbard, when all those people have come over and they're supporting it, you know, and have made the switch and are standing up. I mean, the people that are anti-pharma and anti this whole food industry thing should, I mean, Kennedy should bring all, I mean, anybody health related should be
Right.
all about this. You know, they're still pimping COVID shots during games and stuff.
Oh yeah. I think that, I know a lot of people and myself included, look at the people that are on stage with Trump, and we see a lot of former Democrats. And I'm not saying people can't switch sides. I mean, I voted for John Kerry in 2004 and really didn't know, really didn't know my political self, I guess, if you will, until, 2016, 2018. So, everybody can change their minds, and that's great. And these are people who are very influential and have great ideas and great policies. And so I think that's good. I think it circles back to your comment about the church needing to step up. And we don't need to be as concerned about our government. If the church is doing their job on the cultural issues, then government can do their job on, taxes, securing our borders, all of these other things. I think part of the reason that we are where we are is because the church has abdicated their duty to the government. And so the government has just swept it up and go, okay, we will fund childcare, and pre-K to, there, all this education stuff and all the funding that's going into these human services things that should be the job of the church. And if the church was doing their job, then the government wouldn't have stepped in. That's just, people might not like me saying that, but I do think that
I agree.
Is the role.
The United Methodist Church is completely.
Oh my goodness. I drove by one church the other day on one of our busy, 5-lane roads here. And there were yes on 4 signs all along the church property on this, on the highway side of the property, and a BLM flag too. A church.
It was funny. I might get in trouble for this, but I saw when you said the BLM, I saw a girl wrote on X. She had a little video of, I guess it was at Kamala's rally, Gorilla. It's a female rapper. I don't know. I'd never heard of them.
Is it her or him or they?
Her. Maybe it's a they. But anyway, they're up there doing their, I'm not anti-sexual or whatever or anything, but I mean, they were just up there doing, it was more for a burlesque type action than, at a rally or whatever. And the girl goes, I'm sorry, but white people should be running the United States. I just thought when you show what they were, and she didn't get a lot of flack for it.
Well, I think there's plenty of white people that are highly.
Oh, that's true. Oh, you have to. Well, I say that knowing that absolutely more. It's just what's on display. Sometimes I don't know. It was just too. I mean, the whole thing's a charade anyway. So, do you know that in her campaigns, they've geofenced her campaigns with the phones and stuff, and like 30% are from Georgia, and at some North Carolina or some Arizona event, 30% are from Georgia, 20% are from California.
Surprise me. Yeah.
They're shipped in.
Yeah, of course, when you're bringing people like Beyonce and Cardi B, although I can't, I just shake my head at that. Of course, you're going to get people to come out for a free opportunity to see a superstar. Which I think is all, in the eye of the beholder. But of course you're going to draw big crowds. And I don't put a lot of stock in that. I mean, she needs those people because no one was going to come and listen to one of her word salads otherwise.
Oh my goodness. She is just especially illiterate. It's just amazing. Never an answer. Never an answer. Ever.
I don't know. I don't think she's stupid. I think all of this is the way she talks is very intentional.
Her word salad stuff?
Yeah.
I think that's all she's got. You think she could you think she could eloquently explain policy if she wanted to?
No, I don't. No, I don't think
or
she
from
knows
where we are and
policy.
where we've been and where we could be. And we have to remember, I think that's all.
But I think she's smarter than we are giving her credit for. I think she knows what she's doing.
I think when I saw a thing about how much she has worked from being Alameda County DA to the vice president, the amount of days off and the time she's worked, it's like, I think she got most of her good work done, I'm sorry, on her back or her knees to move up in politics.
Well, you got to hand it to her. At least she's resourceful.
Yeah. Well, I'm no judgment. I'm not judging. I'm just saying maybe not the sharpest tool in the box. I mean, you can't tell me
I definitely don't. I definitely don't think she's sharp enough to be a vice president. I didn't think she was sharp enough to be a senator.
Well, she had one of the lowest attendance as a senator, and barely over 50%.
Right.
Therefore, barely over 50% of the vote, and that's about how much she worked. Refused to ever work weekends. Takes 2 months worth of days off.
See, she's perfect she's the perfect role model for, the left, because that's what they want. They don't want to work weekends. They don't want to work overtime. They want to get paid more than they're worth. I mean,
it's astounding. I just, I'm going to trust that Americans are sharper than what we see on social media and TV. And
and let's keep in mind that all of these social media platforms are echo chambers. X is an echo chamber for the right. Facebook is an echo chamber for, I don't know, Gen X and the boomers. TikTok, I don't know. I don't go on TikTok, but my daughter, speaking of TikTok, my daughter, who's 18, sent me a video yesterday of all of these, what would they be, Gen Zers talking about why they vote, or it's not political. And then they, talking about some leftist policy, and she was sharing it with me to show me how dumb it was, which I love. And then I woke up this morning to a text from my son, who's in Washington. He's 21, and he had sent me the video that was it must have been released yesterday, but it's the newest Trump ad. And he was talking about how much he loved this new video, and I needed to watch it. And, so, I'm doing something right. I mean, I've had my fair share of drama with my kids. But I will say it makes me very happy, and makes me feel like I've done something right, that my kids, they know what's going on. They know the truth.
Are the girls 18?
They are. Yes, it was a big celebration.
Was that this year?
July. Yep.
Yeah. That means we've known each other a couple of years now.
Yep. Yeah. So
Time
everything
flies.
happened. Everything really started to fall apart in Washington with us when the girls were 14. So 2021.
Man, been that long. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like it's been forever ago because so much has happened in that time, but it really, it really wasn't that long ago. And how quickly, the days seem long, but the years fly by, is certainly true. And that we had some very, very long, difficult, dark days. So I'm happy to be where we are now. So,
You have been very resilient and strong, Julie.
well, thank you.
Absolutely.
So it's election day. For everybody that's watching, if you haven't voted, including Jim, you're going to go out and vote today. Jim's going to go vote today. He's going to vote in person because he lives here in Florida, and he can.
We will keep the House. We'll take the Senate.
I think we will too, but I think it's going to be slim.
I don't care. Good.
No, I don't
Fine.
care either. But the problem with it being slim, like we've seen, is with these rhino Republicans in the House with this slim majority. We get these rhino Republicans that don't hold the line.
Right.
And I want to mention Washington has a seat that we could flip. Washington's 3rd congressional district, Joe Kent is running for that seat.
You mentioned that name. Yep.
Yep. Joe Kent is an amazing candidate. He would be so great to have in Washington, D.C., part of the America First caucus.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's a really, really tight race. He's got a really good chance of defeat. The gal that's in there now is they call her Antifa Marie. Really far left. So if we could get Joe to get that seat, that would be great. My friend Jared Sessler is running in the 4th congressional district, which is currently held by Rhino Dan Newhouse, who voted to impeach Trump. I think he's the last remaining Republican Trump impeacher in the House. So Jared has a really good shot.
Has that guy changed his tune on Trump?
Nope. But the problem is in Washington, he's got the financial support of the mainstream Republicans and the establishment type uniparty people. So they'd rather him than Jared because Jared's America First and they don't want that. But the it's a really red district. It's in Eastern Washington. It's a really red district, and Jared has really good support. So I'm hopeful and I'm prayerful about that race.
It's 2 Republicans are up for that seat.
Yeah, but Newhouse doesn't really. He's a rhino, so he's kind of like a Mitt Romney kind of legislator.
But I'm just saying it's like California. Then the top 2. It's that whatever. What's that?
Right. Yep. A jungle primary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, okay. Well, I hope Jared. My son's name's Jared, so.
Yep. So
looks like a win for Jared.
While it won't be on paper, it won't be a flip. It's still.
Yeah.
It's a flip.
No, it's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, good. Well, yeah. Everybody get out and vote. We didn't have any chat comments, or maybe
my friend Joy was commenting, but it didn't show up in our chat because her X account is set to private. So it was showing up. I was seeing it on my phone, so I had to text her and tell her so I can't see it in the on the StreamYard platform because her account is set to private. So I can only see it in my app. So she said she fixed it, but she hasn't commented again. So hopefully other people are. We had over 100 people watching, so I'm surprised there were no comments. But
awesome.
But we hope this was an upbeat discussion for everybody today, an encouraging discussion. I think we have optimistic views today on our election. And
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll go after you. Go.
I was just going to say for coming up for next week and whatever, if any of you ladies here on Women's Planning need me to mansplain something to you next week,
That's good. That's good.
You can come on and request that. Or if you want to challenge me on something or anything, being Julie's platform and all, I'm honored that she trusts me to be here and not wreak havoc or cause too many problems. So we want to hear from you.
I need to put the women's planning logo on this. So when it doesn't have the conservative ladies, but I wanted to say one last thing before we sign off here about post-election and kind of the unrest and the chaos that may ensue. I have a lot of friends and a lot of my family is still in Washington State, and so I'm very keenly aware of the things that are going on, the things that could go on. And I know it's easy for people who are still living in blue cities, blue states, to feel that anxiety of what could possibly be coming in the days ahead. I don't know if you've heard this already, Jim, or not, but Governor Jay Inslee called up the National Guard. So they were activated yesterday through Friday, I believe, of this week. Of course, he could extend that if there's trouble, but and we know that Antifa is going to riot in Seattle regardless of who wins.
Really?
So instead of being anxious, I just want to encourage people to be prepared. Like I've been telling my mom and my son and friends, go out, do your grocery shopping, get enough food so that if you don't need to, you don't have to leave the house for a week. Get water, gas up the car, things that we would do for hurricane prep almost. Right? Just to have everything you need so that if you need to hunker down and just not go anywhere because it's weird outside, then you don't have to panic. You don't have to have anxiety because you are prepared and you can just chill at home. And the odds of anybody coming to your house are probably zero or very, very minimal. I don't think we have that level of chaos going on, but you could see, major interstates get blocked by protesters. You could see unrest in blue cities and things like that. So, don't panic, but be prepared.
You have a good heart. You're a good woman.
Well, thanks.
I appreciate you having, that's good. That's good sound advice, to isolate yourself and not have to deal with it. That's very smart.
It just takes a lot of anxiety away if you know that you don't have to go anywhere if you don't want to.
I've got a friend on, we're not super good friends, but we seem to be on the same page. I met her through, I think started through University of Michigan football post. Because if you notice on X, sometimes I'm talking sports and sometimes I'm talking politics. But her daughter doesn't have classes for 2 or 3 days because of the trauma.
Is this in Michigan?
For the election, yes. Ann Arbor. Oh. University of Michigan. Doesn't have classes because of the trauma of the election.
So are they anticipating a Trump victory?
It sounds that way.
Feels like it.
You wouldn't think there'd be trauma if they were going to win, right?
Right.
Man, don't talk. I shouldn't even brought up Michigan because Gretchen Whitmer is just one of the most vile ones out there.
She's not up for re-election though, is she?
I would guess she's not.
Yeah, I haven't heard her campaign.
Yeah, she was already
campaigning for Kamala, but not on her, not for herself.
It won't be until same as DeSantis. She has through
2026.
27 through 27. What are they? 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah, through 26.
26. Yeah, through 26. So, and I remind me, people coming to your house in Colorado. We could talk about it this week or next week. I know we're kind of trying to wrap it up, but
yeah, well, let's table that for next week. Next week will be fun because we'll have all of the, we should have a lot of election information. We should know a lot of things. So we'll talk about that. Please, bring us your questions. You can DM me or DM Jim at Play Harder Radio. And then, of course, I'm at Julie C. Barrett, both of us on X. You can DM either of us if you have questions or topics, that you want us to chat about. We would love to hear from you. Of course, this is available on YouTube for replay, and I will post that link on X today so people can share it if they want to listen to us.
By the way, wasn't Trump's reaction to the garbage comment by Biden epic?
Hilarious. Memes for days.
The McDonald's stunt and the garbage man stunt.
Yep.
Just
it gave so much material. It was great.
And they just went and they were blown up about it. So
now we're deplorable garbage people.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother. I mean, I could care. I don't care what you think of me. I mean, I care what you think of me. I don't care what the world thinks of me.
Right.
The whatever. It's.
I think we're so beyond all that now that.
But you know what? If it was the other way around, there would be suicide watch, safe room, teddy bear, free teddy bear handouts, the whole works.
Right.
But anyway, go vote.
Yep. Go vote. Make sure you get out and vote. And we'll be back again next Tuesday at 11 a.m. EST and 8 a.m. PST and whatever time it is in the panhandle for Jim. 10 a.m.
Yep. I'm central. Daylight. What are we on now? Daylight savings now? Is that what it's called?
No, we're on standard time.
So now we're back on standard time?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sick of the time change. It gets dark too early now.
Scott and Rubio are trying to fix that.
Hopefully soon. All right, I'll shut up so we can go.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Have a great week. Good luck.